Welcome, take a deep breath, and let yourself settle in. Tonight, we're going to explore some fascinating truths about attraction, the invisible forces that draw us to one another, the psychology behind connection, and the science of what makes our hearts respond. Let your mind wander gently through these ideas. There's no need to remember everything. Just let the words wash over you, like waves on a quiet shore. Attraction starts in under a second. The first thing you should know is that attraction happens almost instantly. In less than 1 second, sometimes in just a tenth of a second, your brain has already decided whether you find someone attractive. It's remarkable, really, how quickly we process a face, a smile, the way someone moves. This isn't shallow, it's simply how our minds work. In that brief moment, your brain is taking in countless details: the warmth in someone's eyes, the openness of their expression, the energy they carry. All of this information floods your neural pathways before you're even consciously aware of it. Think about the last time you met someone new. That instant recognition, that spark or lack thereof, it happened before you could think about it. Your unconscious mind was already at work, making calculations, assessing compatibility, all in the blink of an eye. And yet, this is just the beginning of the story. Love lights up reward circuits like addiction. When you feel attracted to someone, when you fall in love, something extraordinary happens in your brain. The same reward circuits that respond to food, to music, to anything pleasurable, these same pathways light up like a city at night. Scientists have found that romantic love activates the brain's dopamine system, the very same system that's triggered by addictive substances. This isn't to say love is an addiction in a harmful sense, but rather that it hijacks the same powerful neural machinery, the circuits designed to make us pursue what we need, what we desire. When you're near someone you're attracted to, or even when you simply think about them, your brain releases a cascade of dopamine, creating feelings of euphoria, motivation, focus. This is why new love feels so all-consuming, why you can't stop thinking about that person, why everything reminds you of them. Your brain, in its infinite wisdom, has found something it considers valuable, and it's rewarding you, encouraging you to pursue this connection, to seek out this source of joy. It's a beautiful system, really, even if it sometimes feels overwhelming. Stress hormones can intensify desire. Here's something unexpected, something that might seem contradictory at first. Stress, that uncomfortable feeling we usually try to avoid, can actually amplify attraction. When your heart races, when adrenaline courses through your body, your brain sometimes confuses these signals. Imagine this: you're on a roller coaster with someone, or watching a suspenseful movie, or even just walking across a shaky bridge. Your heart is pounding, your palms might be sweating, and if you're with someone you find even slightly attractive, your brain might misattribute these physiological responses, might interpret that racing heart as excitement about the person, rather than the situation. Psychologists call this the misattribution of arousal, and it's been demonstrated in study after study. People who meet during exciting or slightly frightening experiences often report stronger attraction to one another, compared to those who meet in calm, neutral settings. It's as if your body is playing a trick on your mind, or perhaps, your mind is looking for patterns, for explanations, and it finds one in the person beside you. This is why first dates at adventure parks or thriller movies can be so effective. The stress hormones create a backdrop, an amplifier, for feelings that might already be forming. Similarity beats opposites attract. You've probably heard the saying. Opposites attract. It's romantic, it's compelling, and it's mostly wrong. The truth, supported by decades of research, is that similarity is the stronger predictor of attraction and lasting relationships. We tend to be drawn to people who share our values, our interests, our backgrounds, our views on life. This makes sense when you think about it. Someone who sees the world similarly to you, who laughs at the same things, who holds similar dreams, that person validates your own perspective, makes you feel understood. This doesn't mean you need to be identical, not at all. But those core similarities, the fundamental ways you approach life, these create a foundation. They make communication easier, conflict less intense, daily life more harmonious. Think about your closest friends, your favorite people to spend time with. Chances are, you share more similarities than differences. You might like different foods or different music, but probably, your core values align. You probably see the world through a similar lens. And this pattern, this gravitational pull towards similarity, it shapes romantic attraction too. We're drawn to mirrors, gentle reflections of ourselves, people who make us feel like we belong. Believing you're alike inside boosts attraction. Building on that last idea, there's something even more interesting. It's not just actual similarity that matters, but the belief that you're similar. The perception of likeness, even if it's somewhat illusory, can be just as powerful as actual shared traits. When you meet someone and think, "They get me," or "we're so similar," that belief itself strengthens your attraction. You might overestimate how much you actually have in common, but that doesn't diminish the feeling, the connection. This is partly because we like people who we think will like us back. If you believe someone is similar to you, you assume they'll appreciate you, understand you, value you. And that assumption makes them more attractive in your eyes. It's a kind of cognitive shortcut, a mental heuristic. Your brain says, "This person is like me, therefore they're safe, trustworthy, compatible." And once you believe that, you start looking for evidence to confirm it, noticing all the ways you align, all the interests you share. Sometimes couples discover later that they're not quite as similar as they initially thought, but by then, other bonds have formed, other reasons to stay connected have emerged. The initial belief, the perception, it opens the door, and what happens afterward, that's a different story. Familiar faces become more attractive. There's a gentle principle at work in human psychology, something called the mere exposure effect. Simply put, the more you see something, or someone, the more you tend to like them. Familiarity breeds comfort, and comfort can bloom into attraction. This is why you might not notice someone at first, but over time, after seeing them regularly, in class, at work, at the coffee shop, they start to seem more appealing. Your brain recognizes them, categorizes them as safe, as known, and that recognition carries a subtle warmth. It's not dramatic, not like love at first sight, but it's powerful in its own quiet way. This is the attraction that grows slowly, that sneaks up on you. One day you realize, you look forward to seeing them, you notice when they're not around, their face has become pleasant, comforting, attractive. Some of the strongest relationships begin this way, starting as acquaintances, colleagues, friends, and gradually, without any grand moment of realization, the attraction builds. It's built on a foundation of familiarity, of safety, of trust that develops through repeated exposure. So if you've ever wondered why attraction sometimes grows over time, why someone becomes more appealing the more you know them, this is part of the answer. Your brain is wired to prefer the familiar, to find beauty in what it knows. Physical beauty creates a halo effect. Here's an uncomfortable truth, one that says something about how our minds work. When we perceive someone as physically attractive, we tend to assume they have other positive qualities too. We might think they're kinder, smarter, more trustworthy, even though their appearance tells us nothing about these traits. Psychologists call this the halo effect, where one positive characteristic, like physical beauty, casts a glow over everything else. It's not fair, not logical, but it's deeply ingrained in how we process information about others. This doesn't mean beautiful people actually are better in other ways, just that we perceive them to be. And these perceptions, unfortunately, can become self-fulfilling. If everyone treats you as if you're kind and competent, you might develop those qualities more fully, or at least have more opportunities to display them. The good news, if there is any, is that knowing about this bias can help us counteract it. We can pause, take a breath, and remind ourselves that beauty and character are separate things. We can look deeper, listen more carefully, and form judgments based on behavior rather than appearance. Still, the halo effect persists, operating quietly in the background, shaping first impressions, influencing who we're drawn to, who we want to know better. It's just another reminder that attraction, at least initially, isn't entirely rational. It's a mix of instinct, bias, and snap judgments, all happening beneath conscious awareness. Symmetry and average faces are rated hotter. If you've ever wondered what makes a face attractive, research has uncovered some surprising patterns. Two features consistently stand out: symmetry and averageness. Faces that are more symmetrical, where the left and right sides mirror each other closely, tend to be rated as more attractive across cultures. Symmetry might signal genetic health, developmental stability, the absence of mutations or environmental stress. Our brains, always looking for evolutionary advantages, might be drawn to symmetrical faces as markers of fitness, of good genes to pass on. And then there's averageness, which sounds unromantic, but is actually quite powerful. Faces that are closer to the mathematical average of all faces, that don't have any extreme features, are generally perceived as more attractive. This seems counterintuitive. You'd think distinctive features would stand out, but actually, average faces are processed more easily by our brains, and that ease of processing translates to aesthetic pleasure. Of course, these are just tendencies, not rules. Attraction is far too complex to reduce to geometry. But it's fascinating, isn't it, to know that beneath our individual preferences, these universal patterns exist, these ancient calculations our brains perform without our knowledge. Beauty, in this sense, is partly mathematical, partly evolutionary, and partly mysterious. Attraction changes how you look at someone. When you're attracted to someone, something shifts in how you literally see them. Your gaze lingers longer, your eyes trace their features with more attention, more care. You notice details you might overlook in others, the way light catches their hair, the subtle expressions that flicker across their face. Research using eye-tracking technology has shown that when people view images of attractive faces, their eyes follow different patterns, spending more time on certain features: the eyes, the mouth, the smile. It's as if attraction focuses your attention, makes you a more careful observer, a more dedicated student of that particular face. And this isn't just about looking more, it's about seeing differently. Attraction can make someone appear more beautiful than they might objectively be. Your perception shifts, colors brighten, flaws diminish, and you find yourself captivated by details that others might not even notice. This is part of what makes attraction so personal, so subjective. The person you find enchanting, whose face you could study for hours, might seem ordinary to someone else. Because you're not just seeing them, you're seeing them through the lens of your attraction, through the filter of your desire, through the warmth of your feelings. And in that seeing, in that transformed perception, you're experiencing something uniquely yours, something beautiful, something that exists only in the space between you and them. Chemistry runs on dopamine and oxytocin. Finally, let's talk about chemistry, that ineffable feeling when everything just clicks with someone. It feels magical, spontaneous, beyond explanation. But underneath, there's biology at work, neurotransmitters and hormones orchestrating the experience. Dopamine, that same reward chemical we mentioned earlier, creates the excitement, the butterflies, the obsessive thinking. It's the spark, the electricity, the feeling that this person is special, important, worth pursuing. Dopamine makes you feel alive, energized, motivated to be near them. And then there's oxytocin, sometimes called the bonding hormone or the cuddle chemical. Oxytocin is released during physical touch, during intimate moments, during deep conversation. It creates feelings of trust, attachment, emotional warmth. This is what transforms initial attraction into something deeper, something that feels like connection, like safety, like home. Together, dopamine and oxytocin create what we call chemistry. The dopamine provides the excitement, the novelty, the thrill. The oxytocin provides the comfort, the bonding, the sense that you belong together. It's a beautiful partnership, these two chemicals, working in concert to create the full spectrum of romantic feeling. And while it's reductive to say love is just chemistry, understanding these biological foundations can be comforting. Your feelings, as overwhelming as they might be, make sense. Your brain and body are doing exactly what they evolved to do, pushing you toward connection, toward partnership, toward love. And with that, we've explored 10 fascinating truths about attraction. Take a moment, let these ideas settle, let your breathing slow, and know that however you experience attraction, whatever draws you to others, it's all part of being beautifully, wonderfully human. Rest now, and let sleep come gently.